Hi everyone. Hi, hi everybody. My name is Abidemi Adenle, and I'm an investment analyst at a Web3 fund called Emugo Kepo Ventures. You might know Emugo Africa. So Emugo Kepo is a joint venture between Emugo Africa and another Web2 based fund. And we basically invest in Web3 startups, but also a lot of synergy with Web2 startups. That's like startups that have core blockchain use cases, and they think that like maybe they want to transition. We also invest in those startups. Unfortunately, today I will not be talking about investments. As you can see, my topic is a bit, I don't know, serious, not so fun. But the whole idea for me is I think like there's always a consistent argument that blockchain tech, because of smart contract and all of those things could obviously facilitate like trustless transactions. And it does actually do that. But my entire talk today would basically be laying an argument that like while technology can facilitate a lot of like the day-to-day transactions that we usually do on the blockchain, when it comes to Africa's case, I think it's a bit more complicated than just like slapping tech and I don't know, hoping that the tech would solve our trust issues. So yeah, unfortunately, you can't see the entire graph itself because like to be honest, it was really really big. But I really just wanted to point out exactly what I mean by this topic itself. So if you look here, this was a research conducted, and basically the question that they asked was if you think that you can trust most people around you. So this is Africa, yeah. This is Africa, right? This is the percentage. This is data percentage. You can see in Africa we have just one dark green here, and dark green here represents up to like 30 to 40%. So in the entire continent of Africa, just people here, I think this is not Africa, I can't quite remember. Just the people here think that they can really trust the people around them, which again is not even 70%. It's just like around 30 to 40%. So like you have other regions that have up to 70% level of trust. So basically the idea is just really, I mean, you would agree with me that we kind of do not have trust in the continent. And when I say trust, I mean like you can't trust the person living next to you. You can't trust that they won't steal even your shoe, which is ridiculous again. You can't trust that they won't steal your clothes. We don't think too much of it, but like on a societal level, that is very problematic on so many ways. But yeah, so first of all, what is trust? Basically, trust is the belief or confidence in the reliability, integrity, of ability, or something or someone. The closest example that I could actually give you guys to maybe give you context as to how really, really important it is for you to live in a high trust society is all of you are here because you're interested in Web3, but basically, to be honest, all of you are here because Satoshi created Bitcoin. And also all of you are here because you trust in Bitcoin. But if you really think about it, you can't really see Bitcoin. Bitcoin is digital, but you trust that it is real. But not only did you trust that it is real, you gave it a 60K value in the markets. No, I'm sorry, think about it. Outside of that, also, like the currency that you spend, that you take with you every day, is only valuable because you trust that it is valuable. I would come back to like the interrelation between like currencies and what happens like when your society starts to like deteriorate and you have like low levels of trust and how it affects like the quality of your currency. But like my point is you only take money with you everywhere and like exchange it for goods and services because you trust that it is valuable. If every single one of us, like I'm trying to explain to you so that you guys will like apply this mental model to everything. A lot of it is usually in coordination. So if like 70% of people in Nigeria decide now that Naira has no value, it will cease to be functional. It will become just paper. So like before you trade currency, there's the abstract idea that like you do believe that 1,000 naira is worth 1,000 naira. That's like 1,000 naira can buy you something of 1,000 naira. If you apply it to like the concept of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, it's the same thing. Like all of them get their value from the fact that you believe that they are valuable, that they are real, and like you can exchange it for something, which is, to be honest, which is really what trust is. Uh, so I guess maybe like on a high level framework, I do think a lot of why my argument is tied. A lot of why my argument is tied to like from ancestors to algorithm is because I think that we did not necessarily used to be a society that did not lack trust. Basically, because before we were colonized, that's like even before colonization, like before slave trade and all of those things, we were living like intercommunally. And when I say communally, I mean like there were smaller subsets of like communities that were existing in a certain location, and those communities trusted each other. Those communities decided who was going to like make decisions. If anybody stole anything, there were different mechanisms for you to ensure that like there was justice. Could that be believing in Shango or Amadio or any of those things? But outside of the belief, there was also like the concept of if somebody in your house actually steals, yeah, then like communally you are going to decide how to actually enact justice on the person or banish the person, and stuff. Again, all of these things are ingredients that like make up what it means to live in a high trust society. So basically, like my argument here is that like, especially, I would say like traditional Africa, trust was a medium of exchange and a store of value. And when I say a medium of exchange, is that like a lot of the money that we use now was not existing in like 1000 BC or AD. Money is invented. Like you invent money. Anybody can invent money. Again, as Satoshi has proven to all of you that anybody can invent money. The problem with the money is just getting people to believe that that money is valuable. So basically, as you can see here, especially when it came to like trading, and also like trading with like people from the Sahara, there was a lot of trust that went on within like exchanging goods like salt and gold and all of those things. But the most relevant was that like in 1553, the Oba of Benin exchanged credits in pepper to a captain who obviously was going to pay him later. That Again, this exchange did not happen the first time this trader came here. It was repetitive. The trader was obviously maybe like buying goods from him. And then maybe when he came one time, he did not have, something happened to his gold or whatever cars that they were using to exchange. And the Oba believed in their repetitive transactions and said, oh yeah, I was going to give you this thing in credits. So yeah, I guess maybe that's the argument of like trust as medium of exchange and store of value. If you, again, I will keep going back to Satoshi because the only reason why you think Bitcoin should be worth 68K as at today is because you trust Bitcoin, which has made it a store of value for you. So that means that like you can actually buy goods now with the concept that in the future, Bitcoin will still be valuable. It's not going to lose its value. Trust as a tool for social cohesion. This is the most relevant for us, especially in Africa, because we do not have social cohesion and we're very, very deeply uncoordinated. So trust usually, again, in an intercommunal level was used to actually make sure that like on a societal level, especially like within communities, there was a lot of cohesion. So like people felt like they belonged and people felt like they were accepted. I think like that really solves itself. Trust as institutional pillars. This
Excuse
is
me.
the most important. Oh yeah, sorry. This is the most important in Africa because again, our institutions. So it's not just that like we lack trust in society. Our institutions also do not have trust. You cannot trust the policeman. You cannot trust the judge. You cannot trust anybody to do anything that they say that they will do. But like in pre-colonial Africa, trust was a very relevant ingredient, especially in the institutions that they had. Yeah, I just have like some features of low trust environment that you would know. Obviously, we have seen this before. Yeah. Again, this is a symptom of a very low trust society. very okay, you guys need to stop laughing because my time is going. But my point is that like, this is a system of very low value society. But I actually was looking for a picture of somebody receiving bribe in an airport. If you go to any society and like you experience the people in the airport asking you for money, that's like the officials that are employed. That's how you know that this is a very low trust environment, because that's your first representation. If anybody lands in Nigeria, the airport is the first thing that they see. Yeah. That the first human beings that they interact with as Nigerians. Yeah. So those human beings are asking them for money. Obviously, you know you can't expect much from the general society.
Facts.
So so yeah, I mean, I do have other features like slower economic growth. Again, we're experiencing slower economic growth. Rising corruption, I don't even need to explain that. Reduced innovation. Okay, like this is really, really relevant. It's even in terms of Web3. So what usually happens is, again, if you're a foreign national or an expat and you have a lot of money and you're thinking, oh, I want to come and invest in Nigeria, yeah? And when you get in Nigeria, the airport person collects money from you, the Uber driver that you picked scammed you, stole your money, all of those things. It discourages you from actually investing in the continent, yeah? But also outside of that, it trickles to every single one of you. It discourages them from investing in you, who are the innovators. Because like you can't innovate without proper funding. You can't innovate without money. So like a lot of the reasons why Web3 is struggling now, I can't lie to you, is because, especially in Nigeria, is because we don't have a lot of people pouring resources and also capital in the country because of this reason, because we're a very low trust society. So yeah, I would say like maybe consider that and take that seriously. So I guess maybe to the last part of my argument, which is the premise of blockchain. Obviously we know that blockchain through smart contracts works because of distributed ledger, factors such as distributed ledger, which provides immutability for it, facilitate P2P transactions, blah, 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 blah. But I think that technology alone cannot rebuild trust, especially in Africa. It can do that in the West because they, on a social level, on a cultural level, they already have that. But I think that it really cannot rebuild trust for us. And here I argue that like many experts continue to argue that tech does have the ability to not only improve trust, but eliminate the need for it. I think that word even eliminates makes it worse for us. But again, as we've seen, even with the tech, even with like multiple hacks, civil attacks on chain and stuff, it's like you cannot just rely on technology to solve a lot of the cultural problems that you have. So like before you even get to like the tech part, you actually need to together, all of you figure out how to trust each other, build mechanisms, build mental models that will make you like coexist in a more trustful way. So I think that like arguing for technology before culture puts the cart before the horse, which I guess is the picture representation there. And lastly, again, in Africa's case, it may be more beneficial to look back and study how pre-colonial communities foster trust to shared values, mutual reliance, and cooperation. And by merging like the cultural conventions and also technology, then I think like that could be the ultimate way you could maybe then start to exist in a high trust environment / society. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for her. She has done it again. So any questions, please? Questions? Okay, let me pass the mic. But we have to be fast, right?
GM, everyone. Actually, I have two questions, but I think the first part of it, she kind of answered it. The first one is, do you think algorithm, or should I say AI, I think AI is part of the algorithm, is going to overshadow this cultural or traditional ways? And if you think so, what do we stand to lose, or what do this stand to lose if AI happens to overtake? And then second question is, can algorithm be designed to honor ancestral traditions, or they are inherited?
Yeah, I think I really wanted to get to that, but time and time. But for the first thing, again, I don't want to be Bosun Tijani. I can't lie to you. AI can't solve the problem. AI can't solve our tech cultural problem. one thing people don't understand about culture is that it's not independent. You are culture. She's culture. He's culture. Whatever it does affects every single one of us. Like you have to think of culture as like an organ in a part of your body. So if an organ in a part of body is sick, it will alert your brain, and the rest of you feel tired, or your body will be hot, or any one of those things. So it's like none of this is independent. Like what you do, what he does, what every single one of us does actually translates to how we are perceived, but also how we even appear as a collective. That's like the first thing. So if you don't build that cultural cohesion, none of the technology will solve. You will just do patch. You just patch and patch and patch, which I think that is what our digital minister is kind of doing at the moment. But also I think like to your last question, that literally I can't lie. That's actually why I came up with this talk, because I do think that unfortunately the builders that this might be relevant for are not here. But I do think that like even if you were going to whatever it is you want to build, it could be a protocol, could be a smart contract. One of the consistent themes I have seen in Web3 is a lack of cultural context. Like we don't build with context of like where we are coming from. But also we don't build with context of like our own reality. Because again, we're not white people, yeah? We're not even Indians, we're not Mexicans, we're Africans. In fact, we are Nigerians. When I was like, one of the things that shocked me growing up when I was young was like when I was 5 and like they would maybe ask me to get something and my mom would say, hold it very well and shine your eyes. Like from a very young age, I was already being groomed to not trust the society I was living in, but also everybody around me. So it's like, it did start today. It started from where you were young. Everybody keeps telling you that shine your eyes. No, they do like bolo, all of those. Yeah, so like all of those things, it affects you as you grow up. So I do think that it's really relevant for us to explore how we can build in a more culturally cohesive way. But also take a look back. We have history. We did not invent Nigeria today. Nigeria has existed like for a long time, and we have like a lot of shared collective history that could be relevant even as you're building your technology, your tech, your AI, your blockchain, your whatever. Yeah, so yeah, I do agree with you.
Please, a round of applause for her. Okay, you have a question? Please do well to answer this question promptly.
Okay.
Thank you.
I promise.
Thank you. I know, time is against you, but when you were talking about your effect, you skipped one particular point, and I would just love you to touch on that. It's actually slower economic growth, and it says that low trust level can increase transaction costs, which can have significant economic efficiency costs. So can you like elaborate on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Again, it was because of time. So the point is, the point
is very big there, right?
Come on. The point about that is really just that if there's no trust, again, it increases transaction cost, because if I pay him for something, yeah, and then if I buy something on Jumia and I pay him for it, yeah, and then I can't trust him. I can't trust him to actually deliver what he will say, what he says that he's going to deliver. So then I go to another vendor. Or let's say he doesn't deliver, and then I go to another vendor, and then I have to buy something, like I have to buy it again because this person did not deliver. This person has taken my money away. I have paid twice for it. That's like that's increment of like transaction cost. So it's like even outside of the time that you are wasting, it is wasting the money that you would use to maybe just do one thing, because again, there is no trust. The outside of transaction itself, something that could maybe take me one person to actually get done. Because you live in a society you can't trust people, you might have to like hire 3 more people to actually finish that one work to get done. And the closest example I have to this is artisans. You can't really trust artisans. They could say they will come and do your AC today and they will not come. So then you have to pay another person to get that AC done. The artisan hasn't lived by his word. He hasn't lived by what he said he was going to do. So now you have to spend money somewhere else. Yep. Do you get that? So it's like on a high level, you can't even think about it in terms of like blockchain. You can't, a lot of times when you can't trust blockchains.
Yeah. It's time.
All right.
A round of applause for her, please. She has done justice. Thank you very much.